Hello and welcome to the Trumped Up Podcast. I am your host, Keith Rao. This is episode 4, the Democratic Asylum, because these people are out of their minds. They're nuts. They're totally going bonkers. Well, let me get something out of the way first. You can catch this podcast on various podcasting platforms, including our host Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, and Stitcher. You can also check out the Trumped Up Podcast page on Facebook. Give us a like, share our post and our podcast with your friends. We also are broadcasting this podcast on YouTube. You can go over there and listen to it on the Trumped Up Podcast YouTube channel, or you can give us a like on Twitter and follow us on Twitter at Trumped Up Podcast without the T at the end because we couldn't make that many letters, but it's all good. Man, it's been a crazy week in politics, that's for sure. It all started with Iran shooting down a $180 million drone, maybe $220 million. We don't know exactly what the cost is, but the Democrats really bugged out, like when Trump said there was going to be a major response to this and that he was going to take actions. They bugged out like, oh my God, he's going to go to war. He can't do that. He can't do that with our permission. He can't take military action, but he can take solo and certain military actions without Congress's approval, although he would need Congress's approval to actually go to war with Iran. But say somebody attacked us, like dropped a bomb in some major U.S. city or did something like attack the Twin Towers, you can take retaliatory military action without having Congress vote on this. There are certain actions you can take. Then they went along, and when he didn't take action, they bugged out again, saying, oh my God, he didn't do anything. I mean, these people are never happy. They just, no matter what he does, it's never going to be good enough for him. He can never do right by any of them. But there were some cyber attacks. I mean, reason Trump, he consulted with generals, and Iran shot down an unmanned drone. Yes, sure, it was a financial loss, but there was no loss of life. There was no people in this drone. It was unmanned. The generals told him that there would be 150 people that would die in the airstrikes, and he felt that was an inappropriate response to the shooting down of an unmanned drone, which I agree. Well, you shouldn't go out and kill 150 people because they shot down an unmanned drone. There's other actions you can take. He also put more sanctions on Iran. I wish the rest of the world would get on board with this. But for some reason, they want to deal with Iran. It's not like they got lots of money. Their economy is in the tank like quite a few countries around the world. Fortunately, ours is doing great. Record unemployment lows. And then Trump came out this week and he announced that he was going to do some deportation raids, go out and do some enforcement to round up the illegals that are here and send them back to their countries. And the Democrats, they got in a temper tantrum and a tizzy. They're throwing a fit. And then some reason he conferred with Nancy Pelosi, House Speaker, and other Democrats, and they got him to delay the raids for 2 weeks. One, I don't know why he would be telling these people that he's going to do these raids, because just like his war strategy, if you tell the enemy what you're going to do, they can counter it in advance or do something to stop what you're going to do. So if you're going to inform the illegals you're coming for them, what are they going to do? They're going to go hide. They're going to go make sure you can't find them and deport them. Going along with that, though, there's tons of people overstaying visas as well. We could at least go out and round them up and send them back, or get their visa status up to par, give them a chance at least because they were here legally originally, and then they just overstayed their visa, or they didn't have a job, or they didn't do things they were supposed to be doing. I mean, then they're bugging out about the conditions for these children at the border. One, they don't worry about the children in foster care in America, courtesy of departments of children and families, but they're worried about these illegal children who their parents and human traffickers, yes, have put them through this, and there's some people that died. Oddly enough, there's probably more people that end up in the Connecticut River in Massachusetts than actually in the Rio Grande. I don't know, there's something that lots of people end up committing suicide and end up in the Connecticut River. I don't know what that is, but it's probably one haunted ass river for sure. But they're bugging out about that and the conditions and not the toothbrushes. But I don't see them taking any money out of their pocket and sending toothbrushes. Then you get Wayfair over here. Their workers get paid by people that buy things from them. Even if you disagree with those people's beliefs, like it's a company that was going to provide beds to these children that the Democrats were complaining about, not having beds and toothbrushes. But that's kind of like biting the hand that feeds you. These people are paying you, your company they work for, which in turn you get a salary from, and you're going to protest this. I don't know. Personally, I would have laid them off for a week or something just to teach them a lesson, but that's just my belief. I mean, I don't really believe in boycotts. If you really want to boycott anybody, go out and do it. But my opinion is don't boycott anything. If you don't like somebody's view or you don't like their product, don't buy it. It's irrelevant. I mean, I wouldn't tell you to go out and boycott Rachel Maddow because I don't like her point of view. You know what? It's a free country. She has freedom of speech. She can say the dumb crap she says and the crazy conspiracy theories she comes up with, just like Sean Hannity and Fox News. I agree. I like his view and his opinion and his beliefs, and we're kind of lined up there on some things, not everything. But if I was against him, I wouldn't tell you to go out and boycott him either. I wouldn't tell advertisers to pull their ads from networks because oh my God, their views are pro-Trump or people don't agree with these views. It's just ridiculous, you know? So then we got Mayor Pete. Yeah, let's go into this one inmate from the Democratic Asylum, Mayor Pete Buttigieg, the South Bend mayor. This guy, I guess there was an officer-involved police shooting, and then he was in South Carolina campaigning and at some convention or whatever they were doing down there. And then when he came back, he's sitting behind the desk, like the desk is or table, whatever, to protect himself. And then people are screaming at him. I mean, this guy can't handle this situation it's a relatively not large city, by the way, but he couldn't deal with that. If he can't deal with that, how the hell is this guy going to run the country? I mean, maybe he has a few good ideas, but I don't really think so. I mean, his whole issue is his whole issue, mostly about gay rights, I would imagine, being the gay mayor of Indiana. And then, that takes me to Boston, and then they're going to have a straight pride parade. And I was reading some of the comments on the internet about this one. Holy crap. If you said the things that they were saying about the straight pride people and the people's just being happy they're straight. You know what? If you're happy you're gay or you're happy you're straight, you're happy an alien, you want to have a parade because you're a pothead, the NASCAR hauler parade, whatever. Hey, it's your right. Be proud of what you are, no matter what you are, who you are, or what you believe. Really. But if the shoe was on the other foot and you said the things about the gay pride parade that they were saying about the straight pride parade, oh my God, you'd be bullied off the internet for sure. It's just crazy. But yeah, I mean, there's this whole week, man, my head's spit out. I don't know where to go from one minute to the next with this. And then you got Medicare for all. Oh my God, almost every Democrat, not Biden over there, he supports fixing Obamacare, which was a joke and didn't do what it said and never would. And it just probably ruined half of America's health care and caused a whole bunch of people to pay a lot more money in taxes to the government because of that individual mandate that Donald Trump got rid of. But if you look at countries like the UK or Canada where they do have this, there's drastic wait times. I mean, people need something simple like an x-ray, and they got to wait 6 weeks for an x-ray, or you probably got to wait a month to get a flu shot, or so. And then anybody who's dealt with government paid for healthcare, it only covers so many things. And I mean, like in the UK, they determine if you deserve this treatment or you can get this procedure in the first place. Your doctor should be determining whether you get this procedure, not an insurance company or the government. I don't care. It's just wrong. I mean, that's why it's good that Trump also got the right to try legislation in there, because there's a lot of the FDA approved drugs will probably kill you and the side effects are outrageous, but they act like, oh, they're great. But don't try that one because we didn't study it enough. You know what? The ones you did study are no damn better, and they got all kinds of crazy side effects, so you probably don't want to mess with them. And then you take one pill that has side effects, so you got to take another pill for those side effects. And really, I think it's just propping up the profits of the pharmaceutical industry as usual. But they're no better than Monsanto with the poisons they're making, killing people. Oh, like that Roundup crap that I keep seeing these lawsuits for on commercials all the time. I did see the commercial that explains this about the Medicare for All and how the wait times will be drastic, and you'll be waiting 6 weeks for an MRI, or maybe 6 months. Who knows? That's a pretty expensive procedure. I don't know why. The machine's quite expensive. Oddly enough, I used to have a job where I disassembled one of these. It's a pretty complex machine with a lot of parts, but they're getting better. Hopefully, though, for the claustrophobic people out there like myself, they'll find a way to make one of these where you don't have to be in this tube like you're in a coffin. It's really horrible. I don't get it. So we're going to take a little break here and message from our sponsor, and we'll be right back. Hey, you too can join the podcasting world and be one of the greatest podcasters out there. Build an audience, get sponsorships, earn money, and do many, many interesting things. You can also get listener support to help sponsor your show, all by using Anchor. Anchor is the easiest way to become a podcaster. Anyone can do it. If you got something to say, or someone thinks you got something to say, or you just want to say something, come and join Anchor and join the podcasting revolution. Okay, thank you for supporting our sponsor, Anchor. They host our podcast and distribute it through other podcasting means. Sorry about the interruption, but we got to get that out of the way. They do help us to provide this podcast to people. Now let's get a little into the debate. Well, round one of the debate, because it was the nobodies, which I don't know why old Pocahontas was in the nobody debate at the top of the nobody debate. Apparently, whatever crazy way they came up with who gets into what stage with this debate put her into round one with the lower tier candidates like Cory Booker and people that are polling at 1%, which we all know polling's a bunch of crap. I mean, when they say, oh, all these, Biden would beat Trump and Bernie would beat Trump and Elizabeth Warren would beat Trump, that's because they went out and freaking polled 90% Democrats or people that don't support Trump. Nobody's ever freaking polled me about this. I don't even know I don't even know how they get your number to poll you or whatever, but polls can be totally biased and whatever. But yeah, Robert Francis O'Rourke, aka Beto over here, they asked him a question and he just came out with an answer in Spanish, with the nickname Beto, and he's trying to appear Spanish, or he's just pandering to the Latino voters, which Democrats, of course, are conflating legal Latinos and Hispanics with illegals, but the illegals are going to take those legal Hispanics and Latinos jobs, which makes it bad for them, and then their unemployment rate would go up. But yeah, he comes out with the answer in Spanish because he's just pandering and trying to buy votes. Just like when Elizabeth Warren came out with reparations for gay people. Really, the government doesn't owe you anything. Other people don't owe you anything because you suffered something. Okay, the 9/11 situation, that's a whole nother ball game altogether. But because you suffered bullying in life or unpleasantries in life because of your life choices, I mean, potheads, do they get reparations too? Because Well, some of them got locked up for a frickin' roach or some crumbs on the car floor, or because people kept calling them stoners and the munchies and all these stereotypical things. There's actually a lot of positive uses to the marijuana. But yeah, when Beto, he started speaking in Spanish, oh my God, Senator Cory Booker there, the look on his face was classic, and it totally went viral. I mean, if anything, that was a Spartacus moment, not whatever the hell he said during that hearing for Justice Kavanaugh. Then they're all over there supporting Medicare for all. I'm really shocked that a lot of them weren't like attacking Biden, seeing he's a front runner, but the Democratic cannibalism is starting to take place. Bernie invented democratic socialism, but now with 24, 25 candidates, it's going to be a whole royal rumble of democratic cannibalism. That's what I'm calling it, because they're all going to eat each other alive to try and get to the top and get the nomination. But it's kind of funny because Trump really doesn't have to campaign against these people. He can just say what I did and my policies, and this is what's working, and this is what we need to do, and he can just point out the things they're saying, because some of this stuff is off the wall. I mean, reparations for slavery, okay, yes, these people suffered something, but the people that they want to give the money to were not affected by this in the least. This happened in the 1600s. So why do you think you deserve money for something that happened to your ancestors? It didn't happen to you. It doesn't affect your life now. You have equal rights. You can vote. You can go out and get a job just like anyone else in the country, whether you're black, Hispanic, Asian, Chinese, no matter what race you are, a Native American. Really, it's all just a talking point, really. It's never going to happen in the first place. I mean, they're just pretty much pandering again and trying to buy African American votes. Next, they'll be wanting to give reparations to Hispanics for what the people at the border are going through, which, yet again, these Hispanics aren't affected by those Hispanics if they're here legally, except for they're taking benefits away from them. They're taking tax dollars away from them. They're taking jobs away from them. They're using up program resources of all different programs that are supposed to benefit Americans or real refugees. I mean, they talk about all this violence in these countries, but when there's talk about refugees from Syria and the violence, you can actually see video of this and the craziness that happened with ISIS. But in all these South American countries, they're talking about the violence, and where's the video of this? Nobody seems to have any. And everyone they interview, oh, there's no work in my country. We just want a better life. And I don't hear them saying they run away from violence. And then they just try to come in on the refugee status, which I'd say 90% of them don't qualify for refugee status in the least. They probably never qualify for refugee status unless, I mean, the Democrats think that they should get refugee status for domestic violence. Oh, that's the whole world, but we can't let the whole world into America. And then their core issue of climate change. Yes, climate change. That's always great. But don't you think the more of these people you let in, the more resources they're going to use, the more carbon that's going to go out into the world? I got into this a little bit in the last episode, but I mean, I can't listen to these Democrats sometimes because my head just spins. If I turned on CNN, I'd be yelling at my TV because it's like, oh my God, who sits around in a room and comes up with some of the stuff these people come up with? Like the Nazi thing. Oh my God. They throw the Nazi word around like it's candy. Like, ooh, you a kid. You want some candy? Hey, ooh, you want some free money? And no, the Nazi time was very serious. The Holocaust, you know, and then yeah, AOC with the concentration camps at the border. No, they're detention facilities. The Navy warehouses, they may not be designed for this. There's a few prisons that closed down in that area. I'm sure they could like take over, fix up, and use for this purpose, but they just don't have the resources. And of course, Democrats, oh, we'll give you money, but you can't use it for this, you can't use it for that, because they play these little games and they put these things in there instead of just passing a clean bill that says, hey, okay, Border Patrol, ICE, you need this much money, here it is. You spend it the way you feel best necessary, whether it be beds, toothbrushes, or anything else, food, clothing. I mean, all these people that are so concerned too, like in Hollywood, when are you going to start donating your money? Hey, you got millions of dollars. I mean, toothbrushes, you can buy them at the dollar store. So go buy like 100,000 of these and send them there. Problem solved. But no, they just rather blame Donald Trump. But Donald Trump's, there was this stuff was going on during the Obama administration, but they don't want to talk about that. No, it's not convenient for them. Some of the pictures you see at the border are actually from during the Obama administration. Oddly enough, he actually lived up to the deporter-in-chief name that everybody gave him because he deported more people than Donald Trump has deported. But hopefully we can ramp that up and get some of these people out of here, especially the criminals, because we really don't need criminals and terrorists coming across the border. And I've seen just earlier today, South America somewhere, or Central America, they actually caught 4 terrorists. So hopefully they send them back to wherever the hell they came from or lock them up somewhere, because we don't need that coming across their border, because if we don't do something about it, it's just going to be a nightmare again. We're going to have some massive problems, some massive terrorism, some massive uprising. And then, sadly, Mexico sent 15,000 troops to the northern border. And the Democrats, what do? Oh, obstruct, obstruct, obstruct. And then, oh, you got Robert Mueller's going to testify. Oh my God, the revelations are going to come out. But didn't we hear that for 2.5 years about the Russian collusion? The Russian collusion. Oh my God, Trump's a criminal. He's going to go to prison. He's going to get impeached. He's not going to be president. I can't even believe they're still saying impeachment. They just need to move on from that talking point, because nobody's really listening to it anymore. It's just insanely insane. Hence, I named this episode The Democratic Asylum, because they're all crazy. I don't know. Say I'm offensive, call them crazy. I'm not trying to be offensive to people with mental health problems. I don't think you're crazy in the least. Everybody's got problems. There's ways to deal with them. Everybody creates their own coping mechanism. But these people are literally out of their minds. I don't know how some of them get elected, or why Congress doesn't have a mental status exam. I don't know why they don't have to take like psychiatric testing and things to make sure they're in their right mind. And then you had AOC with a picture next to the chain link fence, which probably was at some basketball court in Washington, D.C., or in her home district or something, because she sure as hell wasn't at the border. That's like when that CNN reporter said about standing next to the fence, and it's like, nobody's coming across here. Yeah, you proved our point. The fence and the wall works, stupid. But, yeah, she was just trying to make her point. I don't even know how she got elected. If she gets reelected, I'll be shocked, man. But there's a lot of states like Massachusetts, Connecticut, New York, California, Illinois. They just continuously keep electing Democrats, and they keep having all these problems, this craziness. Like even Massachusetts, okay, Republican governor, but some days I'm like, is he really a Republican? Because some of the stuff he's doing is more Democrat-based than it is Republican. So I guess maybe he's half and half. Depends. Or he's just a rhino. Republicans don't get elected in Massachusetts all that often, that's for sure. Well, this has been the Trumped Up Podcast, episode number 4, The Democratic Asylum. You can catch this podcast across various podcasting platforms, such as our host, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, Stitcher. You can go over and like us on Facebook at the Trumped Up Podcast Facebook page. If you don't want to listen on a podcasting platform, you can listen to the podcast on the Trumped Up Podcast YouTube channel, or you can go and follow us on Twitter. Thank you, and remember, every episode comes out Thursday. Next Thursday, we'll have another interesting and exciting rant. So thanks for tuning in. Tell your friends. And if you want to join the podcasting revolution, go over to Anchor and sign up. You too can join the podcast revolution and be the next Sean Hannity, Laura Ingram. You could be Rush Limbaugh. You could even be crazy Rachel Maddow, or you could just be anybody saying anything. You can make a podcast about politics. You could make a podcast about NASCAR, iRacing, anything in general, health concerns, the medical medium, anything. Thanks for stopping by and thanks for listening. I'm Keith Rao, and this is the Trumped Up Podcast. Hello, and welcome to the